Welcome to Strength Foundation. Hey, if you're prepping for that NSCA exam, you already know Chapter 6 can be a bit of a beast. Well, today, we're going to give you the blueprint for really understanding aerobic endurance training. This is the key to unlocking some seriously amazing results for your clients, so let's get right into it.
Just picture this for a second. You're with a brand new client. They're a little nervous, they hop on the treadmill for the very first time, and they start to jog. You see their face get red, you hear them start breathing heavier, but what is actually going on under the hood? What are their heart, lungs, and muscles doing in that exact moment? Understanding this is what makes you an expert coach. So to really get a handle on this, we've got to look at it from two different angles. First, there's the immediate, almost panicked response the body has to this new stress. But then there are the incredible long-term upgrades that happen when we consistently apply that stress over time. And mastering this whole duality thing, that's what separates the good trainers from the truly great ones. All right, let's jump right into those immediate responses, or what the textbook calls acute responses. The second your client starts that jog, their body's alarm bells just start blaring. It's this sudden, massive demand for energy and oxygen, and pretty much every system scrambles to meet the challenge. It really is all about survival. Okay, so the very first thing we need to wrap our heads around is cardiac output, or Q for short. This is simply the total amount of blood your heart pumps out in 1 minute. You can think of it as the engine's total power output. It's a simple but super powerful equation you absolutely have to know for the exam. Heart rate multiplied by stroke volume gives you cardiac output. So what's stroke volume then? Well, it's the other piece of the puzzle. It's how much blood the heart pumps with every single beat. As soon as your client starts exercising, their stroke volume shoots up. And a big reason for this is something called the Frank-Starling mechanism. The easiest way to think about it is like a rubber band. The more you stretch it, the more forcefully it snaps back. So the more blood that fills the heart between beats, the more powerfully it contracts and pumps that blood out. It's just a beautiful piece of biological engineering, really. And what's so incredible here is just how widespread this whole response is. I mean, take a look at this. You can see heart rate and stroke volume just skyrocket, right? But also notice the little things, like how blood flow is actually rerouted away from your organs and sent directly to the muscles that are doing all the work. It's this brilliant, coordinated effort to get fuel where it's needed and get waste products out.
But it's not just about the plumbing. Your body also has to make a really critical decision on the fly. What kind of fuel should it burn? And believe it or not, the answer completely depends on how hard your client is pushing.
And this brings us to a huge concept for the NSCA exam, the respiratory exchange ratio, or RER. This number is like a fuel gauge. It tells you exactly what fuel source your client is using. So as you can see here, an RER around 0.7 means they're pretty much in a pure fat-burning zone. But as they start working harder and that RER climbs up towards 1.0, the body switches over to burning carbohydrates. This is the science behind why a long, slow run is so great for fat loss, while a high-intensity session is going to burn through your carb stores. Intensity dictates the fuel source. Remember that. So we've seen how the body just tries to survive a single workout. But what happens when we start stringing those workouts together, week after week, month after month? Well, that's where the real magic happens. The body doesn't just cope, it upgrades. It builds a better engine. Let's check out these incredible long-term changes. Okay, let's go back to our new client. Before they ever started training with you, their resting heart rate might have been hanging out around 75 beats per minute. That's our starting point, our baseline. But let's fast forward a few months. Now, look at that. Their resting heart rate has dropped all the way to 65. So why is that? It's because their heart is now a much more powerful, more efficient engine. It's doing the exact same job with way less effort. That, right there, is a classic sign of improved cardiovascular fitness. Now let's look at their stroke volume. Again, that's the amount of blood pumped with each beat when they're going all out. Before training, maybe your client topped out at 120 milliliters per beat. This is their heart's peak capacity right at the beginning. And after a few months of consistent work, boom, they're up to 140 milliliters per beat. That is a massive increase. It means their heart is physically stronger. It's able to push more oxygen-rich blood out to the muscles with every single pump. This is a real, measurable upgrade in their body's performance ceiling. This table is one of my all-time favorites because it really shows the entire journey. Just look at the difference between the pre-training and post-training columns. It's huge. And then, just for some perspective, glance over at the world-class endurance athlete.
I mean, a resting heart rate of 45, a max stroke volume of 200. These numbers tell such a clear story. The human body has this absolutely incredible capacity to adapt and get better. And these upgrades, they happen all the way down at the cellular level. This slide shows some of those long-term or chronic adaptations that happen right inside the muscle itself. Check out the increases in capillary density and mitochondria density. So what does that even mean? Well, more capillaries, that's like building more highways for oxygen to be delivered. And more mitochondria, that's like building more power plants inside the muscle cells to actually use that oxygen. It's a complete overhaul of the body's energy grid. So if you're studying for the exam, these right here are the 3 big muscular upgrades you have got to remember. You get more capillaries, you get more mitochondria, and you get better enzyme activity. These are the changes at the muscle level that directly power your client's aerobic performance. Now, as coaches, we all know that more isn't always better. There is such a fine line between pushing our clients to improve and pushing them right over the edge. And understanding this is every bit as important as knowing the science of how the body adapts. So, can you have too much of a good thing? Well, when it comes to training stress, the answer is a resounding yes, absolutely. And that's what we call overtraining. Your job as a coach is to basically be a detective. You have to constantly be on the lookout for these common signs of overtraining. A drop in performance is the #1 thing to watch for, but also look for other clues, like a higher resting heart rate in the morning, way more muscle soreness than usual, or even a shift in their mood or enthusiasm. Catching these signs early is absolutely crucial for keeping your clients safe and making progress for the long haul. And of course, the flip side of overtraining is detraining. This is that classic use it or lose it principle in action. If a client stops training, the body, being super efficient, will start to undo all of those amazing adaptations we just talked about. It's a powerful reminder of just how important consistency really is. Okay, we have covered a ton of physiology, everything from cardiac output all the way down to mitochondria. But let's bring it all back home. Why does mastering this blueprint actually matter for you as a personal trainer, day in and day out? It matters because understanding this stuff isn't just about memorizing facts for a test, it's about becoming a better coach. It lets you design programs that are not just safe, but truly effective. It helps you see the warning signs of burnout before it happens and prevent injuries. And maybe, most importantly, it gives you the confidence to know the why behind every single thing you ask a client to do. And yeah, it'll also help you walk into that NSCA exam and absolutely crush it. You know, if there is one single sentence to take away from this entire chapter, this is it right here. Every single workout, every one of those immediate, acute responses is a signal to the body. And when you send those signals consistently, over and over, they act as a catalyst. They spark this profound, lasting change across the entire body. That, my friends, is the essence of what training is all about. So you now have the physiological blueprint for aerobic adaptation. You get the immediate reactions, and you get the long-term upgrades. The only question left is, how are you going to use it? How will you build a powerful and lasting foundation for your clients? Thanks for joining me today.